Mary is on.
Yep.
Susan.
Is Fred getting our emails?
Fred is
Yeah, I
coming in
texted him
now.
earlier. He just
He's
sent me a
coming
text.
now, you said?
Yeah.
Sandra, okay, good. Good, so we're all here. Hi,
Yeah,
Fred.
he said, yep, so Fred will put it on, yep.
Got everybody.
Okay, and Mary, Susan, Beth, and Fred. Sandra. Okay. Okay, so we have a forum, so we open the meeting at 4:02 p.m.
And hi, Tamar.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Mara's here.
Nice
Fred,
to have
how
you
are
with
you?
us.
Good to see you, Fred. You're on mute. Let's see.
Hi, good to see everyone.
No problem. Okay, so. All right, so since we have a guest, we'll go with her updates first. So she.
Oh, thanks so much, Paul. I appreciate that.
So any updates on your side, Tamara? I know that
Nothing substantial. We are putting on the siding on the house now. And once we do that, we'll be moving indoors to start framing the inside of the houses. And we obviously don't build when it's this cold out, but we do plan on building throughout the winter. We have groups coming, as far as I know, from Michael. And we are doing a women's build March 1st through 8th. So that's a different kind of marketing effort. While it's called women's build, it's gender inclusive. We have 3 sponsorship levels, kind of going from the top of your head. The hard hat is 10,000, tool belt is 5,000, and work boat is 2,500. We're just beginning to market this in earnest this week. We're a little bit behind, but if you know of any businesses that might want to participate, please have them give me a call. I could send Cassandra our flyer, and maybe we'll get some new business that way, but that's pretty exciting. Besides,
you do have a flyer for it.
I do have a flyer. I could send it to
Okay, so
Cassandra.
if you can get that to us, to Cassandra, then she can get it out to the group. But
Yeah. That'd be great. I appreciate that.
Cassandra, we also want to get it to the town PR guy. I forget his name. I know town manager has a email blast that goes out every Friday.
Yep, that'd be great. Thank
Yeah.
you. And
We're
then,
on 143. The Cohasset 143 is a great site for that kind of.
yep,
That would be one of us that would put that on there, I would think.
yep, that'd be great. And any place you could put it, I would appreciate it.
Okay.
Besides our volunteer group, we're having, our professionals, local IEBW 103 supplies our electric labor, and Granite City does all the materials for our electric work at Cohasset. We also have a brand new plumber that moved next door to our offices, and they're considering doing all the plumbing, which is great. And we have our boilers donated from Wilkinson. I think it's Wilkinson Companies. And we don't really have volunteers coming when the professionals come in, but we are kind of rocking and rolling through the spring on the project. We do still plan to close at the end of June. And Erin and Tanda are getting their hours in. And does anyone have any specific questions?
I just know you have some staff changes there going on at Habitat.
We do. Noreen is leaving to take her same job at the Cape Cod affiliate. We're sorry to see her leave.
Right, and you've got the new director. So,
Oh,
and Mike
yeah.
is fairly new for the volunteer
volunteer con-
coordinator too. So
yes,
there's
yes.
a lot of
There-
changes.
there's a lot of changes for sure, but we're here to continue the mission. I do look forward to introducing you to Erin at some point in the next, few months. She had to leave early today, so today was not a great day, but we've been keeping her kind of abreast of your involvement. I know she's planning on meeting with the trust shortly. And we just appreciate all the support from the town of Cohasset for sure. That brought up one other issue that I was going to mention, and I can't remember what it was. Um, hmm. I'm sorry, I don't remember. Oh, I do know. So Susan, Noreen mentioned to me that the garden club was pushing back a little bit on the donation
Yeah,
for the
I don't know.
landscaping.
I don't know how it's going to sort itself out. There's some individuals who aren't as enthusiastic about thinking that this is where our money should go. So,
Okay, is there
it's
anything
gonna-
I can do in terms of a presentation?
no, I don't think so. I will, I don't know. I'll probably be asked to do a presentation again. I did it last April and I thought everything
Right.
was great,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I don't know. We'll just have to.
as time goes on, sometimes priorities change. I understand
So
that.
so the garden club would have to, provide a $500 donation or more?
No. This is not what that was going to be. I had asked for, I think it was $2,000.
A $2,000 donation, that's what I have on
Donation
my
that
notes.
wouldn't be just a donation, but that they would use it towards providing plant material. Since it's
Oh,
a
okay.
garden club, I thought
Yeah.
they could provide plant material. And I had been in touch with Chris Kennedy to see if they would help let us purchase plants from them at cost without having to pay whatever the market
Yeah,
price
I
would
mean,
be.
Susan's done an incredible amount of work on this, and I'm disappointed that this is where we are at this point, only because of Susan did such great work.
Well,
This is,
we'll see. It's not over, it's not over yet. Fat
Yeah,
lady
it's-
hasn't sung, as they say.
yeah,
So
yeah, it's a
I'll
very,
keep
as you know,
trying.
it's a very
I'm a
small
pretty
piece of
persistent person, so
lawn. Mhm.
I won't give up on it. But yeah, Chris was very enthusiastic. His dad had volunteered at Habitat projects in the past when he was growing up, and Chris had done so as well. So he's very supportive of the project in and of itself, and so he's happy to have his company be involved. And they'd even promised to help do some of the labor for us. I don't know if we'd be paying them again at just whatever their cost is. I don't know.
Well-
We have to work out the details. But at any rate, there's a little pushback now. So we'll just have to see
Yeah,
where it goes.
we could certainly, I mean, if Chris is willing to do that at cost, we could work with them too, and do an in-kind donation just through them. We don't have to involve the
Yeah.
garden club at all. But
Yeah.
although it would be nice, because I think it's a lovely opportunity for them to do something very visible considering where the property is and things like that.
I think so too. And there just were some concerns that came up, things like, well, it's not very large and there's really not room to do anything. And there's a lot of ledge. So I don't know what you can plant anyway. And, will we be putting money in and then it won't even be maintained and it'll all die? And I don't know. There just were different
Well, I mean, our
questions that I've kind of heard
homeowners
through
are
the grapevine.
lovely.
So.
If it would help, they can attend a meeting and attest to the fact that they'll take good care of the property. But ledge is certainly an issue, but we have blasted or hammered out. We haven't blasted, but we've made enough space to pour the forms and the foundation, and they have to backfill that whole area. So there will be soil available for the plantings for sure.
All right. Well, I'll bring it up again and we'll see. And if that doesn't fly, they may just do a cash donation. And I don't know. We'll figure
Okay,
it out.
well, we would love to have their involvement. Like I said, Doreen mentioned to me last week that you might be having some issues. So anything I could do to help with that, I'm happy to do so.
Okay, thank you.
Susan, this is Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Should we reduce the ask from 2,000 to maybe 1,000?
Oh, it's not the dollar figure.
Okay.
That's not the point.
Okay.
It's really more conceptually the idea
I
of
hear
it.
you.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think some people don't feel that this is something that the club should be doing because it's really benefiting two people. It's not a community effort. I don't
Well,
know. They're just,
it is on the corner of, Jerusalem and Hull. I know you guys know that, but we are maintaining that, that
Gateway to our
wrought
town.
iron, railing. I mean, it could be a very pretty corner.
and I've tried to present the fact that it was a town land that is being used for that. So it
Yeah.
is essentially like a town project to a degree.
Yeah.
But this is not the place to try to get into all that.
No, I
I'll
just wanted to mention it
pursue
because
it
I see
with
your
them, and
face
we'll
and
see.
I'm happy to help.
No,
But
thank you.
your efforts
No.
are very much appreciated. I know it's a lot of work.
Thank you,
Well,
Susan.
no, it's,
I
just
know
hope
that,
it will.
separately from that, St. Anthony's, was running a piece in the bulletin for the youth group to get together and do something for Habitat.
Oh, good.
So, hopefully you'll hear from them soon.
Oh, that would be
Yeah,
great.
the only issue with the youth is that they're not allowed to use power tools unless they're, I think, 18 years old.
18, yep. And
Yeah,
but if they're
so-
16 or older, or between 16 and 18, and we have enough time, we can make sure we have a project that is worthwhile and that
Appropriate.
they'll enjoy doing.
Yeah.
But it does take
So,
us a little bit more time.
Yeah, they're well aware of all of that. They're trying to get older
Yeah,
teens or younger adults. I don't know what you call them.
yeah. But
great.
yeah, I mean, we'll be doing drywall and painting.
Else I call them lazy, but those are my kids.
Yeah, well, I have
That's
kids that age too, so
Yeah.
I get it.
So Jim Flanagan has been working on that with the young gentleman you guys recently hired.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mike Ryan.
Michael, yeah, Michael Ryan.
I think so, yeah. So I'll double
Great.
check with Jim when I see him on Sunday.
Great. I
Yeah.
also just wanted to let you guys know that the Carter Memorial that we did on the 9th, in tandem with the National Memorial for the President, went very well. It was held at UCC Norwell. We had about 45 people there. People spoke extemporaneously about the work that the late president and his late wife did for the country and our communities. It was really very lovely.
It was very nice. I went the first Norwell day.
Oh, great. Yeah, we had about 12 people come to Easton on the 16th. And again, I think that, it was just a beloved president who did a lot of work for affordable housing. So it was very well received.
It's awesome. All right. So I don't think there was anything left out that we were waiting on. I know in our last meeting with your attendance, there was a flyer that went out and it showed a timeline of each
Yep.
month.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we were looking to get a copy of that from you.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize I didn't send it, but I will certainly
Yeah,
send
so I don't know if Mary, if anyone received it, I didn't. If you can
I'll
get it to Cassandra, get it to
Yeah,
Cassandra.
I'll do the women's build and the update flyer for Cohasset. We
Right.
are still very much on track with that timeline. We're continuing to raise money. We do have about probably $70,000 left to raise.
Yeah.
And that is cash. I mean, we're still trying to raise the in-kind stuff as well. But we have about 120,000 of in-kind sale value.
Okay,
So that's exciting.
Yeah, so that's helpful because folks were asking me specifically, what's happening, what months, and I explained to them that it's now moving indoors, and the completion was sometime around June. So
Yep. We're hoping to close by June 30th at the absolute latest, but
Okay.
we have the 25th in mind, just in case something goes wrong at the closing.
So Tamar, I assume that with that kind of a timetable, they won't be needing things like bathroom vanities until probably one of the latter items, like maybe early June,
Probably May.
Okay.
Like
Just give me a
mid-May.
heads up when that timing is there, because I remember
Okay.
I've approached Hingham Lumber
Yeah,
and they're donating those.
Yes, I know that. I'm very excited about it.
So I just want to make sure that I give them enough of a timetable to,
Mhm.
they have to bring them in,
Yep,
it's not like
sure.
they just have them right there.
Yep, I will certainly let you know, when we get to that point.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be March that I would need to let them know or what. I'll give them a rough timetable, but I don't know
Okay.
how long it takes them to
Why
get
don't you
everything.
let me talk to Sherry, and I'll get back to you before you reach out to them again.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for tomorrow? No. Okay, well, thank you very much for the update.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, go ahead and
Bye.
email those two items to
Yeah,
Cassandra.
I'm gonna do it right now.
All right, awesome. Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you so
Take care
much.
now.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Right.
Okay. Moving ahead, on any other affordable housing development sites, I really don't have any other ones under the, on Pleasant Street, that was approved by the select board. So those are 14 units in which 4 of them are deeded affordable, and those are condominiums that'll be sold on the open market. So the deed restriction applies to 4 units, and 2 of them will have 2 bedrooms and 2 of them will have 1 bedroom. That's how that will go. The town did approve, once again, the additional units at 390 CJC, which is the units that are in the Stop and Shop Plaza. And so they went ahead and are trying to get in there. They had somewhat of a waiting list, so I think they're moving ahead with getting everyone in place there. And I don't know of any other spot that we have any housing in process. I know the one across from St. Anthony's on South Main, Cassandra, he's a year out from getting the state stuff filed and approved for that 1 unit there. So I would assume so.
Yeah, I actually was just going to email him now because I was looking back. I received information that he had signed MCO that I don't know that I want to call it a real estate agent, but like a contractor who does the affordable housing lotteries. He had sent me the signed contract back at the end of September, and I haven't gotten an update from him since then as to whether he's moved forward with any marketing materials, anything like that.
And
Thank you.
Paul, I have 2 questions. That property, I think I've raised this once before, but I don't remember where it all stands. That property that someone owns that's over on North Main Street, right, almost abutting the golf course,
Yes.
I don't know if he has already purchased it or if it was in the works or what, but he came before select board with some kind of a little proposal that we had looked at, just some drawings, and then it fell through. The select board didn't go forward with it. Do you know where
Yeah,
that property stands?
Right. So the contractor or gentleman did buy the land.
He did. Okay.
And he does own it. And he did come in front of the select board. He came in front of us to present his idea of 22
Right.
units, right? But the issue he had to do with zoning. And we were redistricting areas, I say we, the town,
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
MBTA
piece,
minimums.
right? But there was some reason why his lot would not be included in that, or he wouldn't qualify for whatever it is he was looking for. So he suspended moving forward with the 22 units. So that's the best I can recall. Cassandra, is that close?
Cassandra, do you know any more about that? Because it seems like, I mean, it just seems like such a no-brainer that when the MBTA is looking for trying to increase multi-unit housing near a walkable distance to a train station, which is clearly what that is. I mean, you just walk across the street and you practically beam yourself there. why that would not have been accepted. Is there anything else we can try to do to help him facilitate putting that together? Because it just seems like a perfectly logical place to try to do something like that.
So specifically regarding the zoning that the gentleman was waiting on, he was waiting on the multifamily housing overlay, which the planning board opted not to put in any residential district. They strictly put it in the commercial districts. And that property is within a residential district, so it's not included in the overlay.
So he can't get a waiver then for that particular site.
He would have to look
Go
for,
before the ZBA, wouldn't he?
he would have to come for a variance, which would require a hardship. So it would be up to the zoning board.
So that would be the path that he could take, is to go before the zoning board.
He could, I don't know that they would grant a variance, just because I'm not sure that that would be proved as a hardship under, the qualifications for it, but I guess if he really wanted to go down that road, but it doesn't sound like he was looking to, go down the more difficult road.
All right, well, I don't know. I feel like I'm just frustrated because it seems like that is the perfectly logical place. We have other places in town where we have a residential area and it abuts a residential area, or a residential area that abuts multifamily units. And everybody gets along fine together. Nobody's all up in arms, ready to kill each other. So I'm not sure what the objection is. I mean, it's almost like the overlay that was created, part of it, goes up into areas that are really not easily buildable. And this is literally right there, walking distance across the street from where the train station is. So it just doesn't make sense to me. And so since we're supposed to be an affordable housing steering committee that's supposed to be trying to come up with ways that we can increase affordable housing, plus deal with the MBTA requirements, it just seems like this is kind of a match made in heaven. And yet we've got some requirements that are saying, no, we can't do that. So I don't know. I'm just speaking on my own.
Right. No, it's a valid point. We talked about all of this when he came to us. We went to the planning board and supported it. We supported it with the select board. So, but the town has to weigh their zoning requirements along with the other requirements that they had with the MBTA. So, I think that's kind of the issue that they had in front of them. And to take a residential area and then all of a sudden make it, part of this commercial piece, I think was going to be a challenge for them to begin with. So I think, we could have got, credit for 22 apartments.
Yeah, that would be a nice feather in our cap towards meeting our goals in the future as
I'll, honestly, that went through a short period of exhaustion, right? So a couple of months he came back and forth, and he didn't respond either. It was several months. They tried to reach him and get some feedback from him. So there were some issues with communications as well, but
I mean, is it even worth trying to do it?
Yeah, I think the issue that I really have isn't so much that didn't get zoned in, which is was a bigger challenge. The easiest way for us to get affordable housing counted was to keep One Pleasant Street as apartments, and only two.
That's already passed.
Yeah, so I mean, again?
Failed.
Again, they could have said no, and they didn't. That's their prerogative. And had they said yes, keep it apartments, then we would have had 14, not 4. So, the planning board has a lot of processes to make decisions with. It's not, we're just focusing on affordable housing, so we're not focused on what's surrounding that, right? And
right.
So we can't do what we're accusing the MBTA of doing, right? And that is making a policy to say, put affordable housing in, one size fits all, and all the towns are up in arms, right? And we're kind of doing the same thing. We're saying to the planning board, hey, we don't care what your thought process is. You got to put affordable housing in here. It makes sense to us, right? So there's a lot that goes on that we're not aware of. And you know, it's frustrating for us when we hear that things didn't go through and not understanding, you know, why those decisions were made. So I'm equally frustrated with you, but I think mine's more towards the 14 units on One Pleasant Street, which was, you know, ready to go for us, and then it got switched over. So, and he
So
claimed a
is that
hardship,
mostly the planning board's decision for that one?
strictly the planning board. So I spoke on behalf of keeping it, and they took a board vote, and Clark Brewer was the only one who voted to keep it apartments. Everyone else voted to make them condos. So, so that's how that ended up. And that was well over a year ago. He claimed a hardship, and here we are. He hasn't sold one yet. So,
Right.
wondering how hard the hardship was at this point. But anyway, it is what
Well,
it
I'm
is.
sorry, I'm, beating a dead horse or whatever, I don't,
Yeah. So,
I just
speaking of
didn't know
beating
that.
dead, speaking of beating dead horses, you had asked me to look further into 585
Yep.
Chief Justice Cushing Highway. So I will be going in front of the Board of Selectmen tonight with Steve Gomer of the Housing Trust, specifically to talk about future projects. And he wants me to talk about 585. And I mentioned this in our last board meeting that, you know, and Fred was with us, not on the last one, but prior to that. That property was purchased by the town for the sole purpose of putting up a first responder facility, whether it be police, fire, or EMT. So they must have known that some aspect of that property was buildable because that was their plan. I looked into it with the plan, with the building inspector, and there is a working septic system on the property. And it had a freestanding building, even though it's small. And so there is an ability to have something there. The town is going to put up a cell tower down at Wheelwright. And they need to trade land. So if they use 10 square feet for commercial use, then they have to give 10 square feet of some other part of town
Conservation.
as conservation, right? So they have to trade.
Yeah.
So they looked at trading this spot because it's town property and it's dormant. Now, it is, there are 4 lots altogether. There's one on the right and one on the left, which are already owned by conservation groups, 2 separate groups. So there's 2 in the middle that are the ones that we looked at. And I didn't agree, you know, I reached out to the select board to talk about it. I did talk about it with Steve Gomer, who's the chairman of the Housing Trust. And I felt that based on what Fred had talked to us about that property, there was, it's surrounded by wetlands, first of all. And second of all, Fred had mentioned that there was I want to say a river underneath the property, for lack of a better term. And I'm gonna call it up for you real quick. And did you see it there?
Yes, yes,
So I'm moving my mouse back and forth in the center here.
yeah,
So this is the property that's still owned by the town. The one on the left and the one on the right are owned by 2 different conservation groups. the triangle at the top that's on 3A, that's where the septic system is, and that's where
Right. Yeah, it's
the
tiny.
building- right. And then there's buildable theoretically back here where there are no wetlands as well. That's accessed from King Street. So
But you can't get through to that one where your mouse is without going through either a wetland or the next door neighbor's property.
no, you can
You
right through
can?
here.
Okay.
Yep.
You can get through a driveway? Okay.
So, so basically, the challenge is what Fred alluded to, right? So it's not just that we see wetlands here, and these aren't to scale, so we don't know how big or how small they are in accordance to what you can build on or not build on. Because you can see this right here, that's the size of a house, right? So that's a house on that property, and you can see if you're using the scale, you could put one here, you could put one here, you can put one here, right? So you could put, and we don't know how many you could put on there. Maybe it's one, maybe it's two, maybe it's four. I don't know. But in any event, I think that this would be a very hard use of our time to really go after pursuing putting housing here. And I say that because of the wetland challenges going through planning and zoning. The trust would have to pay for a study to be done to see what square footage that they could put in reference to surveying the property for the wetlands and all that to see, what the setbacks are and all that. And then come back and say, okay, we can squeeze one house here and two houses here. And then what do you do after that? Well, they would have to go out for bid to see if people want to buy the land and build a house, right? They have to find a contractor who would buy the land and build the house. You could probably go out to make them like a habitat type of situation. So there's a lot of issues surrounding this, right? So we're going to speak to it in front of the select board tonight. And I know that in our meeting when Fred attended back in, I think it was November, we all agreed to kind of let it go. But in December, Susan, you had asked me to pursue it again one last time. So I
appreciate that, Paul. I tend to agree that it's probably not really feasible to pursue it at this point.
So if that's the only land we have in town to pursue, I would say let's take it to let's spend 10 or 20 grand to find it if we can build the lot or not. I mean, the town's pretty good at spending 50 grand on studies.
Ugh, are we ever?
We've studied the town hall in Highland Street, I think 7 times.
So much money down the drain.
Yeah. So in any event, the reason why this is easy to say, let's walk away from it is because to share again. Going to share this one. I don't have as much detail on this, but this is at the end of Evergreen Lane where they were building homes and then they stopped. So this is an area that can be built. And this over here technically is CJC that can be built.
You're not screen sharing, Paul.
Yeah, we can't see it.
Oh, I forgot to share screen. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay.
All right, there we go.
All right. Feel like Carrie Underwood, little technical difficulty here.
Technical difficulties.
All right, so this area here goes all the way to Deer Hill, and at one point they looked at connecting the parking lot for the two schools out to Evergreen, but they didn't for whatever reason. All of this is buildable. All of this is on sewer up here, so it's kind of easy to achieve. It's not septic, which is great. This area over here, I did understand that's available, but
With the gray part?
yeah, but I think DPW uses it, but I'm not sure. I have to double check. I thought somebody was using it, but I'll double check. This obviously is Cook Estates over here. This is Stop and Shop. Right here is the new building over here.
Mhm.
And I dare say this out loud, but he does have the ability to put another building in over here. And he had talked about converting the second floor of the building that's 380 CJC and putting senior housing up over there. So he may have made,
Not the new building that he's got there, but a different one?
yeah, so the new building, if you go to the right of it, he has the ability to put another one in the corner.
I hope he gets a better architect.
I don't think he has the wherewithal for another building in this town. So anyway, but I'm just saying, if we're going to look at areas, this may be a spot where our energy is better served.
Yeah.
How
Uh,
big is that parcel? Do you remember?
I want to say it's 5 acres,
And where would you access it from exactly?
Evergreen Road, right here.
Right there? It's from coming right up where your cursor is, yeah.
Right.
There's a little bit of a wetland over there, kind of a little small thing to the right. That would just stay there.
Yeah.
So if it's 5 acres, that's a pretty good size parcel.
Right. So I have all the plans for this property back here as well. This is behind the music circus. I can't expand this. I'd have to get a different
Yeah.
shot.
That's right.
All of this property back here is buildable as well. I think that is closer to 7 to 10 acres. The town was looking to put a cemetery in that entire area at one point. So I do have all of the plans and the layout of all of the property back in here. That's something that we could look at, and but that's something that you would want to zone as like a 40R kind of thing, where you would have smaller homes, small capes or bungalows, if you will, specifically in that area. And that's the other area that the town owns property that we could look at.
What's the access for that one?
So
That Smith Lane?
yeah, so technically it is Smith Lane. There is you could access it from, well, no, so down, yeah, this goes down Pleasant right here. Yeah, this is Reservoir. Yep,
Yeah.
down. This is
Old
this is Old
Wait.
Pasture here. This is Pleasant. So you go down the hill. So there
Wait,
is,
which one is Pleasant? The one where your cursor is?
yeah, so down there, right? And that one, there is a four-way stop sign that you would turn into and be able to access. See where these homes are right here?
Is that
Going
Smith?
around. Right, so farther that way is the street. You can access it from right here. This is a dead end as well. It's kind of like a little cul-de-sac, but you can access it from there as well. So so that's property that we looked at 5-6 years ago when we first started our group. And then we kind of put that on hold because that's kind of a bigger project where you would want to put in however many we're going to fit in there, say it's 20, 30 homes. But you would want to have it zoned so that is 40R. And, they're not big homes. So, but we can look at this property as well, so. I don't know
And
what
I have a-
direction the conversation will go tonight with the select board, but
Can I ask a question to you, Beth, as a realtor?
Yeah.
What do you find is the market for something like that? I mean, I'm thinking that could be like a 100 Pond Street, but on a lower income kind of a price point, where it's like what I think of as the term cluster housing, where you've got actual houses, but they're densely, placed close together with maybe then an open space kind of at one end of the whole parcel. Is there an adequate market for that?
I would say so, yeah, definitely. That's the trouble. There's not enough of on the more affordable end. Not saying cheap, just something under between 5 and 1 million,
Yeah.
that people would be interested in downsizing out of their houses, which would free up, more of the single family houses and go to something like that.
But so for a project like that, a developer would not most likely be able to afford to put all of them in as affordable units. If the town provides the land,
But you're saying,
And-
well, a 40R is not technically affordable, right? That's what, not our big A affordable, it's our little a, right?
but I'm trying to figure out if there's a way that we
You're
can get the
talking-
big A affordable in there. Where if the town provides the land and the developer doesn't actually buy it, the town is deeding it over, then can they afford to put in units that would be in the, let's say, $600,000 or $700,000 market, which is kind of the price point that you're talking about. And if the density is such they could get enough of them in there, then that they could do that and not have to be selling the more expensive units. So then that would make them all affordable, capital A.
All capital A?
Well,
so I don't think that's how it would work, but, so the property first would go into the trust and the trust would sell the land to a contractor who would develop it, but there'd be restrictions on the property.
okay.
That it would be 40R, and then there could be additional restrictions that require certain number of units to be deed restricted for 30 years as affordable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my guess on how.
Well, I like that idea. If you think a market for that, then that's maybe something we should pursue.
There's always a market for starter homes, so
Yeah.
that we have to worry about. And in Cohasset, if you build it, they'll rent it. So I think that's kind of the deal there. So that's kind of where we are. And I think that that would be the area. So tonight, I don't know how Steve is going to approach the board. And
Sorry, you're talking about the
585, yeah.
statuses. I really, from the get-go, I don't think it's worth pursuing as anything that's gonna,
Yeah.
it's
So
not
for-
easy to build there. If there's any buildable spot, it's small. Then you've got the state, and dealing with 3A is a pain in the ass, so.
And the conservation people
the people-
already want
people
to
on-
have their hooks into that land anyway. So if that's
So-
where they want to
Let's
switch
yeah,
off for the,
let's hear from Fred.
Oh, well, I think there's a bit, that would be a big challenge. There's so much wetland in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
And down the road, I mean, 25 years, if we're still looking for something, maybe come back to that. But the other options that you laid out seem to be more productive.
Okay. Yeah, I know you had some good experience with that corner of Pond and 3A on the different committees that you were on, so you had more insight into the conservation side of life. How
Yeah,
much of a
yeah.
challenge that would be, yeah, okay.
Paul, this is Mary.
Yep.
It seems like you're taking on a lot of this just by yourself. Is there anything you can delegate to any of us to pursue or to help with, or?
Yeah, they're really, so for these two, you know, we identified these lots, I think, like I said, 3 or 4 years ago. And, you know, we were pretty much tied up with the Habitat property and trying to get CJC approved with sewer. And then we jumped onto One Pleasant Street and that went back and forth. So these were kind of just laying in the background, and the trust is looking for projects from us. So they kind of initiated the wake up call to say, hey, what are you guys working on? And that's when I decided to kind of bring these forward. And I happened to have been in the town hall at the time. So these are just ideas. I mean, I have to go back to where somebody would have to go into the building inspector's department and say, hey, we need specific details on these properties that the town owns because we want to look at seeing if they're buildable. And he could say, yes, it is, or no, it isn't, or
So
whatever reason.
you haven't asked him about those yet. I know you talked to him about the
Yeah, he
other-
gave me these, and he said these were the other town properties that I talked about.
Yeah, that's why you've got them circled in yellow, I presume.
Yeah, so they printed them in color for me. So, and I took a yellow highlighter and I highlighted them.
Right.
So then the next step would be, if you guys think this is a great idea, then Mary's right, then we would figure out, okay, what kind of questions do we want to ask and who do we ask it of? And who's going to go down there and ask the questions, right? So,
I
So-
don't mind going to ask, but I guess we need to figure out what is it we're asking and.
Yeah.
And for that other parcel too, the other one that you showed that you come in off Smith Lane.
yeah, so Evergreen seems to be the easiest only because it looks like it's buildable. This one over here, the gray one over here, it does have access to 3A, and I don't know if anyone's laying claim to that or not in the town, so I got to figure that out.
Yeah, I guess, well, would he know that? If, the town's using it or something?
Yeah, I know. So farther down 3A, when you go right past, so now you're going into Hingham, and on the left-hand side, right past the train station, you'll see a lot that has a lot of tree logs in the park area on the left-hand side. That's also town-owned property. The
The old
DPW,
Sportsman's Club.
was that what it is?
Be a building in there, the Sportsman's Club, yeah, and then the town rented it out. It was like a small one bedroom. And then it just got demolished and DPW used it, yeah.
Yeah, so that that's town-owned property as well. So, you could put up something over there. I know when we first started, when the nursing home went out of business at the end of town, on the Hingham line, I worked with the law firm that was representing the clients that owned it out of New York. And, we went back and forth on what they wanted for that property. And, they wanted more than what the property was assessed for and all that stuff. And, I met with some folks on the state level to see what they could do. And by the time they got back to me 6 months later, the property was rehabbed into what it is now, which is a wellness center, rehabilitation center. So that was another piece of land that we looked at. So these are the other ones that we could take a look at. If that's what you would like to do, we can go out and kind of do an initial call to say, hey, what do you think? I don't know, Cassandra, what are your thoughts on where to start and what questions do we want to ask?
I think you're kind of going in the right direction already. I mean, determining if that sort of pork chop shaped lot is being used or available. That's going to be like the number one question. And then just determining the select board's opinion, if you will, on how they would like to see these lots used. I think that that lot at the end of Evergreen, just based on the access available to it and the fact that there doesn't appear to be a lot of wetlands, makes it a good candidate for an affordable housing option. I think certainly more promising than the other lots that you were
Okay.
looking at on CJC.
So would we go to the building inspector to say, hey, can I have detailed information on the land? And then go to what, planning to say, are these buildable, or how does it work?
No, planning's not gonna give you a determination of whether or not a lot is buildable. I don't even know if John has that authority. It might need to be surveyed, but that's a better question for him of whether or not he can make that determination of if it's
Okay.
buildable or not.
Okay, I just need to confirm the amount of land that's owned and
Mhm.
if anyone has laid claim to it, right, in the town.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably your best first step.
Yeah.
I don't have any prior knowledge of whether or not anybody's laid claim to those. So I'm not sure on that aspect.
So so the other piece of property that is buildable that I did look at briefly was behind the Red Lion Inn. We have 1 acre of land, and it also abuts the rec center. So I had talked to some folks probably 3 or 4 years ago about getting a nonprofit group that specializes in veterans housing to come in and do some veterans housing over there with their own parking, and then maybe tying it in with the rec center and making that a bigger and better rec center for all to use. At the same time, maybe a multi-use, facility over there if we could get it all on one property. So that's also an opportunity. There's some ledge blasting that would have to be done, but there's 1 acre there.
That was the one way back when that Clark wanted to put the little mini houses on or whatever his little idea was.
No,
Mhm.
that's this one. That's the behind the music circus.
Oh, that was behind the music circus. I thought
Yeah.
he had his eyes on that one too. That was, I remember him talking about the one by the town parking lot and the Red Line.
Yeah, no, that's only 1 acre. You can't put much there.
Yeah.
I met with NeighborWorks because they did a couple of veterans housing projects.
Like just what would it be, like a house with rooms in it or something? Or what was your?
Yes. Yeah, so it's a couple of things. You can do the shared living space piece where there's individual rooms in a common area. They've done that, or they've done individual apartments.
That's the one in Quincy by the old shipyard, right? Is more apartments.
Right, so that one they did, that one was not the veterans one though. So they did that. That's called the Watson in the shipyard, and they did there's 3 floors, basically. 1 floor is commercial, or I should say more than 1 floor, more than 3 floors now. So it's a third commercial, a third workforce housing, and a third affordable housing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was their, I would say, their best project ever. And it took a lot to convert the facility and took a lot of energy from them. They spearheaded it and got other state agencies involved.
When
And
you
mass
say
housing.
they spearheaded it, who spearheaded it?
It's a
Yeah.
company called, it's a nonprofit called NeighborWorks.
Okay,
They're actually in Quincy, their office.
yeah.
So if you're on 3A and go over the shipyard bridge and you come up to the next main intersection, instead of taking a right and heading towards Wollaston, you go straight And about a block up on the right-hand side is their office.
Okay.
Great folks.
And
And-
what would we have to do to be able to get that to go in there and that property that you're talking about up there behind the Red Lion Inn? Because I
Well,
really
we'd have
like
to-
that idea.
Yeah, we'd have to take a look at it and see if it's worth what the cost would be to build something there, and then find somebody like a NeighborWork. There's other groups beside NeighborWorks that do that stuff. So they've done the veterans housing, but it's not what they focus on. They focus on regular workforce housing and affordable housing. They have a whole separate arm that helps people more on the advocacy side get into housing, right? So they're not just builders. A big part of what they do is assist people getting in and managing properties. I first met them because I wanted to buy the old hospital with them. The property owner at the time expressed an interest in doing some joint venture. But he would have had to have deeded the property for 99 years or something like that, or leased it for 99 years to them, and they would have run and managed the property and that kind of thing. So they have different ways of doing things. They could buy property and somebody could still own it, and they would buy it at 80% market, and the other 20% you take as a tax credit, so it gives you tax incentives to convert property over. So there's a lot of different ways to do affordable housing. If there's existing structures, and then when there isn't any, it's what everybody likes because there's not much red tape, and paperwork, is when you just have an empty lot and you can build something from scratch. That's what everyone loves to do because it's the easiest thing to do.
Right, because you're starting from scratch. If they do veterans housing, is that for, well, like what Beth was talking about, where it's maybe like a house with rooms in it? That's really more for like single people?
Well, it's community housing, right? So that used to be on Elm Street. You were on the housing board, right? So you remember you had Elm Street there. You had that house that was
Right.
The communion living, if you will, right? So you can do stuff like that. People do it. I think there's one or two of them in Hingham. They're usually owned by private housing companies that run them and manage them and put their tenants in them. Usually it's for people with mobility issues or other issues. So that's more of a community living environment. But we can certainly look at all of those. We can put a wish list together and see what you guys want to tackle.
Is there any special kind of financing or funding that might be available to do veterans housing as opposed to just regular affordable housing that we could try to tap into to
Yep. So
help
there
make
are.
something that workable?
Yes. I attended a housing conference in Boston with two former select board members, and specifically to learn about what was available out there. And a lot of the folks at the conference were people who do nothing but building of affordable units, and people who finance affordable units, and people who manage on the advocacy side, people getting into affordable units. So it was a lot of people do it for a living. So there's a lot of people out there. So there's anything from tax credits to low interest loans to apply for. There's lots of stuff out there for builders and contractors, but
especially for veterans.
Yeah,
For veterans housing.
every class of people that there are, the government has various set-asides and programs. They may or may not, have it for everything, but I can tell you that workforce housing is the first thing that's sold out in the state of Massachusetts every year. That's the biggest one that gets funded, and the funding is by March, it's gone, or whenever they do the budget in July 1, by, August 2nd, it's gone. There's money for veterans housing for sure.
Yeah.
It may have been used up by now, I don't know. It all depends on the cycle. So,
Okay.
there's a lot of disability housing money. That's a big one. And, so it's there, just, there's people that do that for a living, that help you, find the money. So that's kind of where we are. I do need to move along because, supposed to be on at 7:20. And right now, it says it's gonna take me an
I'll
hour.
have to get home.
My phone says an hour and 19 minutes to get to Cohasset, so.
Yeah, you
I
better
would,
hustle.
I would get there by 6:30 anyway, and that's my phone telling me that's how it is now, but once I get on the road, it changes, but, so if anybody have any other questions on these properties, if you want me to, I can kind of move this along as well. We can take it to the next step. I can bring this up with Steve Gomer tonight to say, hey, look, we're looking at these instead.
I think that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see how much they want to, if they allow us to investigate 585, it won't hurt if the trust is going to pay for that, to see if you could build something there.
Okay.
No, but the conservation people already kind of have a claim on that land, so I'm not sure if it's worth trying to fight against them for that one.
Well, you'll probably kind of know that tonight, right? If
Yeah,
the-
you'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. I think the select board is pretty much moved far enough down the road to where they're claiming this, that they've got dibs first, so,
Right.
which is fine, but, I'd rather put 6 or 8 homes on Evergreen
Yeah.
and have
Yeah.
more trick or treaters in October than
Yeah.
one house on 3A.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
right,
for
so,
pursuing it.
All right, so I'm gonna print this one and bring it with me as well, in case it comes up for questions. So I want to move on to, accepting the meeting minutes.
I so move that we approve the minutes
Is there
from
a second?
December.
Okay. The second, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the meeting minutes have been approved. Our next meeting is February 18th, which is the day after President's Day. So I will be flying back on Monday, from Charlotte. Be here for Tuesday's meeting. And, does anybody have anything else? Fred, do you have, has
Yeah,
Cassandra got
just a two quick things. The electronic form that everybody in the state looks for housing with has successfully been updated to include the studio
Oh, good.
selection. So that's good news for Cohasset.
Oh, good. So now it'll let people know it's a studio.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so now they know up front.
Yeah,
And the
yeah, when
other
they get
thing-
picked. Yeah,
the
when
other
they get
thing
picked
is-
for it, yeah.
Yeah, the other thing is that we have about 10 vacancies. And we did get a grant for like $200,000, which is about 20,000 per unit to rehab everything. So it looks like we got some money to go in and really clean up those units and turn them over. So that's good news. I'll keep you posted on how that's going.
Right, so, the downside is, you have vacancies, but the upside is you have an opportunity to remodel.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's awesome.
But having 10 units open and available is higher than it normally is.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, there's a big backlog with the selection process because that everybody thinks there's a 1 bedroom and they find out it's a
Right.
studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so getting it
All
as
right.
a studio should be good.
yeah.
So, now you can kind of,
You can
Bring it
rehab
from-
them and
Keep
show
our fingers crossed. Yeah.
instead of 1920, it's 2024 instead of 1924.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
No
Paul,
more-
thank you so much. You're doing a fantastic job. I have to
Okay.
say.
I know.
No, I
He's
want to
not-
make sure, Cassandra, you have all Fred's contact information? Okay. Now we just got to get him to read it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Hey,
guys. Take care.
take
Oh,
care.
wait, do I have a
Paul.
motion to?
Yep,
Thanks,
Mr.
everybody.
Mute.
I move we adjourn then, if you're looking for that.
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
All right.
Five
All in
oh.
favor?
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Thank you now. Take care.
Bye.